Yep. All right. So I'm going to walk you quickly through a demonstration. So what you see here is the same exact thing that you would see in the car. And fundamentally, this is Android in the car, so this is embedded. And the difference between this and all the rest of the vehicles that you see is that fundamentally, in the other vehicles, you take your phone, you plug it in, it's projected all the applications from your phone directly into the vehicle. Here, the difference is that it's fundamentally all running natively in the car. The only thing that we're using in this demo the phone for is fundamentally phone calls, because phone calls, usually people are still waiting for their Bluetooth, etc. So, quickly, when you actually go to the home screen, we're already navigating, but this is just a vision of how Google sees the interface, but we expect a lot of the partners to actually come in and actually change the interface quite a bit different than this. For us, for example, if you were to start up a car, you would come with an interface something similar to this, which would allow you access to a microphone, which you can talk to Google, ask all kinds of questions. You also have something like this, which is all the ongoing activities that are currently happening. I just happen to be navigating right now, but like navigation, and in this case, I was listening to Pocket Cast, so that's available. And also you see a whole bunch of other things, such as, if you were to navigate somewhere like SFO or something, it's all there. From here, you also have access to all the different similar things, for example, navigation, communication, media, and some of the automotive things we'll kind of showcase a little bit. Last thing, which looks much nicer in a vehicle than it does here, which is you have access to things such as heating and cooling, right? So if you press it off, it will turn off. If you see a breeze comes in as I turn it on, no. But the reality is, what happens is in a car, actually, this is tied to CAN bus and air conditioning, and it actually just turns on, right? And again, this is like, if you think about it, because this is running natively in the vehicle, those are the types of things we can do. So from here, obviously, you're going to get access to things such as navigation and mapping. So this is Google Maps. Again, it's running natively, and like if we cancel navigation, we see that the things kind of goes away. And if we were to start navigating again to somewhere, I'm just going to pick the same place I was navigating earlier, we see the navigation slowly starts basically showcasing in the cluster right away, right? And the reason is, again, as you start navigating, you want people to less focus on the screen, the more people actually focusing while they're driving, and their heads up, right? Steering wheel, focus, your eyes on the road. But at the same time, what we do is, if you see the upper box over here, this is actually still showcasing media. And if, for example, if it's something, a notification that you should be heading out home, that actually stays there. And if you go to different places, that actually stays up front, right? So navigation suddenly is up here, because again, even if you glance here, we want to make sure that that is present, right? If you go here, we see that again, we again have a more presence, right? And these things are staying. So the idea is that at any moment, if you go to any screen, you will have anything that's going in a sense of infotainment is going to be present for you. So again, navigation, if we wanted to, we can always cancel navigation. If we wanted to go to a dialer, for example, this is connected to a phone via Bluetooth. So all of your, for example, call history and stuff gets transferred. You can always access people. So if we were to dial, to somebody here, and we press, we see that you get a quick notification in your heads-up display, just kind of giving you what's happening there. And again, as soon as the phone call gets established,
thanks for calling Google for Work. Please enter your support.
You can obviously, all this is CAN bus, it's all controlled, like all the steering wheel buttons. We can see that kind of fades away, it goes back to navigation, because again, that is what you care at the moment. If you hang up, obviously, and it's nice thing is, like, if you go here, you can see now phone call is the one showing up, because those are the things that are relevant at the current time, right? So it's like you get here, if you go here, now these are the things, because it's just kind of trying to give you access to the things that you really care about at the current moment.
So will this work with other phones like iOS and Microsoft?
Yeah, it works with everything. Yeah, it's a Bluetooth. Yeah, it's just Bluetooth standard. So as long as they support the protocols, and as long as they support the right versions of the protocols.
This compared to the current Android Auto, this feels like this could be obsolete more quickly because it's actually built into the car.
Yeah.
So what is the path that you're going to prevent, like, different manufacturers from like over customizing so it doesn't get updated? Like,
no, it's, I mean,
like
and again,
we see on Android phones,
so I mean, it's the same. I mean, Android phones is similar. Actually, it's a similar process that we have here, right? Like, Android is #1 open source. So even if you look, for example, things such as Amazon and other players, they've taken Android and they've actually customized it very heavily on their direction.
If you bought a flagship phone, you might get the next like one major upgrade of Android, and then you're pretty much out of luck.
I mean, that is ultimately up to our partners, right? Like, I mean, from our perspective,
where I think Google's put a little more heavy hand on not letting the devices get too customized, like customized
Yeah,
skins.
I mean, and I think that here, I would say that we want actually our partners to customize because every car is quite different. What we're focusing on is we have same set of tools that we've utilized, I would say on mobile, which is compatibility definitions and test suites for the compatibility definitions in order to make sure that everybody stays actually up to date and make sure they can take the next version. I would, we're working with a lot of partners to define how is that going to work, but I would say with vehicles there's a lot of safety, there's a lot of things that have to be done in order to make it actually work from version to version, which is much different obviously than your watch. Just kind of thinking about it, right? So from our perspective, we're going to basically, this is end release, there's going to be O release, which is going to have more functionality, and more functionality is going to come after that. And our hope is that partners obviously take those, but we're not going to be doing anything to prevent partners not taking them. So
Feels like you might end up with an obsolete car.
There's no such thing as obsolete vehicle, right? Like at the end of the day, if the app is working currently on this version, it's also going to work on the next version of Android. And there's a couple of different things that partners are looking at. So, for example, this and that car is running from Qualcomm what they consider a modular hardware, right? So if you look at it, and this is just a demonstration. So, for example, this is running a box which you can remove. So you can plug in a new box, and that box is going to have, for example, more memory or different things. So it allows
And that runs
people to.
Qualcomm.
This is Qualcomm
hardware.
Snapdragon, yeah.
Are there going to be other hardware launch partners?
For us, is we're working with a lot of different partners all the time. So it just happens right now we partner up with Qualcomm for this.
So to expand a little bit on what he said, right now there's some security issues that some phones can't be updated. The old phones, and that's a problem. And Hiroshi's mentioned like that this is frustrating for Google. Will this be the same problem here? Will you, if there's somebody who can get into the OS from afar, can you guys push an update no matter what to this OS?
At the end of the day, this is partners as well as us. It's not up to us to make those decisions by ourselves. We're working with a lot of partners, and we have to decide what is the best way to do that. So. Every partner might have different set of rules and regulations that they want to deal with, and we'll work with everybody.
Okay. And obviously the display position here looks a little bit like the Model S or X. Will there be different configurations for different automakers?
Actually, if you look at it, like from our perspective, we support different ones. If you just take this, this is very much what you see today in some of the other vehicles and the way it looks, right? So this is, for example, one view, and it could be like this. If it's a bigger screen, it could look something like this. From platform perspective, our goal is to support different types of screens and different types of dimensions, right? Because we suspect that there will be different vehicles with different configurations. And from platform perspective, it doesn't matter. So this is just a one view of it.
And now will this tie into self-driving stuff?
Has nothing to do with self-driving stuff. This is primarily for infotainment.
Infotainment.
So, yep.
And obviously air conditioning, heating.
This is primarily like for the infotainment information and control of some of the basic functionality, but brakes and other things, we're not doing anything.
Different
with
stack.
That. Yeah, it's a different stack.
All right.
So you're using different CAN networks for this?
That's up to the partners.
Entirely up to the partners.
Yeah, it's up to the partners. Yeah. Cool.
All right, great,
Thank
thanks.
you. Yeah.